is Jill McGowan. I'm a recent doctoral graduate from NC State University, and I'd like to welcome you to my online session titled Capturing Young Children's Voices of Experiences in Their Own Outdoor Spaces Using Hermeneutic Phenomenology. In this session, you'll learn about the implementation of hermeneutic phenomenological methods informed by the mosaic approach that I used in my dissertation study on young children's experiences in their own outdoor spaces. I will thoroughly describe the participants and context, data collection, and data analysis methods employed throughout my study in an effort to shed light on a unique method of qualitative inquiry in early childhood environmental education. My work has been guided by two well-known phenomenologists. One in particular, Van Menen, suggests that you choose a phenomenon to study based on deep interest in it, as well as something that's oriented to your life pedagogically. For me, this project was oriented to my life as both a parent and educator. And I've always had a deep interest in early childhood environmental education and nature play. This stemmed from playful experiences in nature with my own children and students, and my belief that young children are capable of communicating their own perspectives. Research suggests that there are a wide range of benefits for outdoor and nature play, from cognitive to social, emotional, and behavioral, and more. Yet the time children are spending outdoors is continuing to decline due to time spent indoors on electronics or engaging in adult supervised activities. Previous studies have focused on adult perspectives of children's experiences or older children's views, and they've been situated in schoolyards and early childhood education centers. Furthermore, early childhood education studies from the young child's perspective are scarce, and phenomenology is infrequently used in environmental education research. So all of that I've just shared led to the purpose of my study. I chose to recognize and focus on the voice of the young child versus the adult or the older child's view, and also to zero in on their experiences in their own outdoor spaces versus the schoolyard or early childhood center. It was my aim to expand the dialogue on outdoor and nature play, as well as early childhood environmental education, by adding to discussions of the pedagogical implications for children's learning and development. Particularly for this presentation, I wanted to focus on the qualitative methods that I employed in my dissertation study. I conducted the study as a hermeneutic phenomenology. What is hermeneutic phenomenology, you ask? It's a study of the lived worlds of people as they experience them. It is interpretive and reflective through the use of language and text, and hermeneutic phenomenology seeks to find the meaning of a particular phenomenon from a participant's point of view. My data collection was also informed by the mosaic approach. Picture a tile mosaic, pieces of tile put together to make an artistic representation. The mosaic approach is just that. It's a mosaic of data points from the child's point of view of their lived experience. Children play an active role in the research process, and parent voices are included to add rich description and detail. Combined, these two approaches were a great way to listen to the voices of young children and their own experiences in their outdoor spaces. I started with the following two research questions. The first one was, what are young children's lived experiences in their own outdoor spaces? And the second one was, in what ways do young children document and describe nature? To select participants for my study, I chose to use purposeful sampling. This is sampling that focuses in depth and intentionally on a small sample of people that have a particular life experience of interest. For this study, the inclusion criteria for participants included children that were ages 3 to 5 years old, children that were able to speak with someone that was unknown to them, children that play outdoors, children that have an outdoor space for play, and children whose parent consented for them to participate. I had 4 boys and 5 girls participate in my study, ranging in ages from 3 to 5 years old. In addition, most children lived in single-family homes, except for one child who lived in a townhome. Aside from one child who played in a community shared space, the rest of the children either played in front, side, or backyards. Some were fenced in and some were not. 5 children had play sets in their yard and 4 did not. And all children lived within a major metropolitan city or within close proximity to one. The structure of my data collection occurred in 2 visits with each child. The first visit was an attempt to break the ice and establish rapport with the children since they did not know me. During that first visit, I conducted parent interviews, a guided tour led by the child, had the children photograph nature, and I took field notes of my observations. During my second visit with each child, I conducted a child interview. I had the children draw pictures of nature and discuss those pictures with me. We discussed the photographs that they took from visit one, and I conducted observational field notes. Things didn't always go as planned, had to be flexible when working with the very young children. For example, one child was interested in taking me on a tour while we were doing the interview. Another child wanted to interview while they were swinging on their swings. I conducted parent interviews and a child interview, so separately. They were both semi-structured. The children's interviews occurred where the child wanted. So sometimes, like I said, that was while they were guiding me on a tour. Sometimes that was while they were zooming up and down their driveway on their scooter, or like I said, swinging on their swings. These interviews were audio recorded and transcribed. For the field notes, I sketched my own drawing of their outdoor space. I documented any natural and man-made features of the outdoor space. I also took anecdotal notes and wrote memos within those notes describing the context, the children's activities, and the conversations that we had while I was visiting. This is an example of one of the drawings that I did of one of the children's outdoor spaces. And I included this in my field notes protocol. I also asked each child to draw me a picture of nature on a piece of paper. This helped me interpret the child's idea of nature as another way for them to share their voice. I audio recorded and transcribed their description of their drawing, and then I took a photograph of their picture so that they could keep the original. These are some examples of the children's drawings. The first one on the left represents a child's viewpoint of their house in the middle of the picture, a tree on the left with leaves falling, and the 7 birds that came to play that day. The picture on the right has a banana in the middle, a playground pig there on the bottom right, and a crocodile. Well, what originally started as a crocodile and then what turned into a Christmas tree in the upper right-hand corner. I also asked the children to take photographs of nature using an iPhone, either mine or their parents. This gave me vivid descriptive data, which represented the child's point of view. I printed copies of their photographs and then I brought them with me to visit too, and we discussed those pictures. I audio recorded that discussion, and because several children took over 50 pictures, I asked them to choose their best pictures of nature. I took photographs of their best pictures of nature and kept those, and then let them keep all of the printed copies of their photographs. This photo was taken by one of the 4-year-old boys in my study, and when asked why they chose this as their best picture of nature, they shared, because it's a plant and we help them grow. Data analysis was informed by the 2 well-known phenomenologists I mentioned earlier, Van Menen and Vagel. They suggested using a whole parts whole process. This is where you look at the data as a whole, break it down into different parts, and then consider it as a whole again to interpret meanings and significance of participants' experiences. Through this process, I generated themes and focused in on the participant language through interpretation and paraphrasing. Both phenomenologists also recommend utilizing creativity and inventiveness throughout the process. So the data analysis for research question number 1, what are young children's lived experiences in their own outdoor spaces? Using interviews, the field notes, and data from the guided tours, I first bridled my connection to the phenomenon under study. Vagel suggests that it's impossible to fully remove ourselves from a phenomenon under study, and Van Menen suggests having a deep interest in what you choose to study. So therefore, it's important to not to try to fully disassociate yourself from the phenomenon, but rather acknowledge your connections and remain open to what you might discover throughout the process. After bridling, I conducted initial readings of transcripts and notes. And then I did line by line readings to identify key elements. I didn't use any data analysis software. I did this with printed copies of the work. From patterns in the key elements, I determined an essential theme and sub-themes, and then I connected these with participant quotes. For my second research question, in what ways do young children document and describe nature? Using the drawings, photographs, and the child's descriptions of the drawings and photographs, I first conducted an initial reading of the transcripts and notes. And then again, I did a line-by-line reading to identify key elements. I then created a chart which listed all of the items that the children included in their drawings and photographs, and I took this information and wrote it into a What is Nature poem. This helped me really to see the data as part of a whole, as suggested by the two phenomenologists I was guided by. And then I identified a theme and aligned that with participant quotes. This is just an excerpt from the What is Nature poem. I'll give you just a moment to read that. Phenomenology is not meant to be replicable or fact-finding, so I choose to follow the criteria for qualitative quality set forth by Tracy, a qualitative researcher. In this study, I followed rich rigor. The research study obtained substantial data collection through rigorous procedures informed by the mosaic approach, and it used phenomenology rather than a case study to share the lived experience of young children. I've kept my parent and educator viewpoint at the forefront of all my work to show sincerity. I wrote in first-person voice to remind the reader of my presence and influence. I remained open throughout the data analysis process through bridling. I aimed to connect to a broader audience, including fellow teachers, colleagues, parents, and caregivers, through the use of thick, rich description and accessible language. For credibility, I shared rich description of the lived experiences of my young participants, and I collected a variety of data sources through the mosaic approach to provide a holistic view. And for significant contribution, I aimed to impact the current knowledge landscape through young children's voices using hermeneutic phenomenology informed by the mosaic approach. So phenomenology informed by the mosaic approach offers evidence of the rich value of young children's voices and the meanings of their experiences in their own spaces. It also has the potential to reach a broader audience, not just educators and researchers, but also parents and adults in children's lives through the use of text that is accessible and in everyday language. I'd like to leave you with two quotes that I thought were quite fitting for this research. And I hope that by being here and listening to this presentation, you also see the value in listening to young children's voices, particularly when informing work related to young children's lives. Here are my references. And thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. My information is provided here on the slide.